The first scream ripped through the quiet morning street like a blade, sharp enough to snap every drifting thought in half. Tourists froze. Cars slowed. A woman in a red dress stumbled into the arms of a stranger, trembling so hard her knees nearly buckled, while four imposing men advanced with the cold assurance of predators who believed no one would dare stand in their way. And for a moment, it seemed they were right. No one moved, no one breathed, no one stepped forward, until a tired waiter with an apron still tied around his waist dropped the tray he was carrying and ran toward danger instead of away from it. If you believe in kindness, courage, and unexpected second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soft Voices to support more stories like this. Aiden Merrow had been up since 4 a.m., just like every day. His life as a single dad was built from routines, pack lunches, iron school shirts, brew cheap coffee, check homework, then rush to the breakfast shift at Brella Cafe. He didn't complain. He didn't have the luxury. All he truly wanted was to give his 8-year-old daughter, Nova, a life gentler than the one he had known. He never imagined the quiet morning where everything would change forever. The billionaire CEO, Magnus Hale, didn't look like someone who needed saving. His reputation was anything but fragile. Brilliant, intimidating, untouchable, but that morning he looked pale, cornered, as if the walls of the world had begun to close in around him. The woman clinging to him wasn't his partner or assistant, but a passerby who had tried to help him moments too late. Behind them, the four men moved with deliberate menace, their eyes fixed on Magnus with the icy certainty of men hired to send a message. Aiden had seen scenes like this before, not in real life, but in the darker corners of his past, the ones he avoided even in memory. Before Nova was born, before he promised himself he would never again use the skills he'd learned in the underground fighting circuits, violence had been second nature to him. He had walked away from that world. He had buried it. But some things, no matter how deeply buried, remain alive beneath the surface. Still, he didn't act because of the past. He acted because of the present. Because of the terrified woman, because of the helpless billionaire, because his daughter deserved a father who never looked away from someone in need. He sprinted across the pavement, heart hammering, lungs burning. The four men turned. One laughed. One stepped forward. One raised a wooden bat. The largest of them cracked his knuckles with the boredom of someone expecting an easy win. Aiden didn't speak. He didn't warn them. He simply moved, fast, clean, controlled. The bat swung down. Aiden stepped inside the arc, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted, and sent the weapon clattering to the sidewalk. The others reacted too slowly, and Aiden's instincts filled the space between moments with precision he thought he'd long forgotten. A sharp elbow to one jaw, a swift kick behind another's knee, a heel pivot that sent the third stumbling backward. People stared, phones half raised, unsure whether they were witnessing a miracle or a disaster. Magnus Hale stood frozen, unable to comprehend how a man dressed in a cafe apron was taking down trained attackers. Aiden wasn't fighting to win. He fought to protect. And that made all the difference. When the last man staggered to his feet and fled with the others limping behind him, Aiden finally exhaled. The woman in red sobbed into her hands. Magnus steadied her, then turned toward Aiden with an expression unlike anything Aiden had ever seen, a mixture of shock, gratitude, and something else almost painful in its intensity. Security arrived seconds too late. Police sirens echoed down the street. But it wasn't the authorities who approached Aiden first. It was Magnus himself. He insisted on taking Aiden inside the cafe, away from the cameras gathering outside. The billionaire's suit was torn, his lip bruised, but he looked at Aiden as though he'd discovered something far rarer than wealth. Magnus asked who he was. Aiden explained only that he was a waiter and a single dad doing his best. He didn't talk about his past. He didn't mention the fights. He didn't describe the years he'd spent clawing his way out of shadows. But Magnus saw something in him anyway. Over the next few days, everything in Aiden's life shifted. Magnus returned to the cafe not once, but 3 times. Each visit he learned more about Aiden, his dedication, his humility, the way he talked about Nova with quiet awe one morning after watching Aiden politely refuse free meals offered by grateful customers. Magnus asked him to step outside. He told Aiden the attack hadn't been random. It had been orchestrated by business rivals determined to silence him before he could expose a corrupt conglomerate exploiting thousands of workers. He had been gathering evidence. He had been warned to stop. He didn't. Aiden felt a chill ripple through him. He asked why Magnus was telling him all this. Magnus said because he needed help, not from security, not from bodyguards who followed orders blindly, but from someone whose strength came from somewhere deeper, someone who understood fear and pain and what people are capable of when the world corners them. Someone who had nothing to gain and every reason to walk away, yet still chose to step forward. Aiden initially refused. He was a father. Nova needed him safe. But Magnus didn't ask him to fight. He asked him to teach self-defense classes for his staff, strategy guidance for his legal team, insight from someone who knew how dangerous men thought and operated. Slowly, hesitantly, Aiden agreed. Over the next months, their unlikely partnership formed something unbreakable. Aiden's confidence returned piece by piece. He no longer felt like a man hiding from a former life. He began to feel like someone who could reshape his future instead of outrunning his past. Magnus, in turn, found not just safety but a friend, one who said things others never dared say, who grounded him when the corporate world threatened to swallow him whole. The breakthrough in Magnus's legal battle came unexpectedly, when evidence arrived in the form of an anonymous whistleblower, inspired by the CEO's refusal to back down. The same morning the case was won, Magnus visited the cafe carrying an envelope. Inside it was an offer: full-time employment as head of personal security training, triple Aiden's current salary, and full sponsorship for Nova's future education. Aiden's hands trembled. He never cried easily, but the weight of the moment broke something open inside him. All the years of struggle, the exhaustion, the loneliness, the fear of failing his daughter, suddenly they had led here, to a single moment where kindness was returned 100-fold. By the end of the year, Aiden had moved into a better neighborhood. Nova had joined a school with programs she'd only dreamed of, and Magnus remained a fixture in both their lives. Not as a billionaire, not as a boss, but as family forged in the strangest blaze of circumstances. It all began with one choice, one instinct, one ordinary man stepping into extraordinary danger because he couldn't bear to watch another person suffer. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soft Voices. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need a reminder that courage still exists in the world. Before the story closes, here is a special request. Comment the words "kindness lives" if you believe everyday heroes walk among us. In the warm brightness of a new day, with the city moving gently around them, Aiden walked hand in hand with his daughter, grateful that sometimes life gives second chances in the most unexpected ways, and that even a simple waiter with a forgotten skill and a fierce love for his child could change everything.